everyone, welcome to Watercolors with Jaylene. So for today's tutorial, I am going to be creating a unique Christmas gift for my sister and sister-in-law. So recently they were on vacation in the Caribbean, and the island that they were staying on, they were snorkeling, and there was a small tiki bar at the beach that they frequented, and one of the refreshing drinks that they had there was called a painkiller. So what I'm going to do, I have actually handwritten the ingredients for the drink itself, and I did that before I started the video just because I'm not too good with lettering, and so I had to go, put lines in and kind of work on that, and I didn't want to take up time in the video with that. So this is a really fun gift. If you have someone in your family that has a favorite recipe, or there's grandma's, secret recipe for something that other family members would enjoy having, it's fun to create something like this. And what I'm going to do is be painting just some light tropical flowers at the top and some little baubles going down the side, and maybe a couple little flowers at the bottom also. And then I'll put it in a little frame, and it will be a Christmas gift for them. And I know that they are absolutely going to love it, and they will really know about it before Christmas because they're going to see this video. However, they're going to love it. So I'm just going to paint some flowers across the top. And real quick, for today's materials list, I do have my piece of watercolor paper, which is about 5.5 inches by 4 inches. And then I have my Winsor & Newton 24 cake pan paint set. I'm using a number 4 round pointed brush. And then, of course, Micron, this is a 07 nib that I did the lettering with. And then for my colors, I'm going to be using the Purple Lake for the flowers, the cadmium orange hue, and then for the greenery, I'll be using some sap green along with hooker's green. And for the centers of the flowers, I will be putting in just a touch of Prussian blue, actually. And then I will be using some metallic paints because I'm going to be painting baubles on here, little dots also. So you'll see where they come into play. So to get started, let's get some of the Purple Lake. And and then also my paper towel for blotting. So for the flowers, and these aren't an actual flower, they're just, flowers that I like to paint. They're very loose and very easy. I do like to make sure that there's at least 5 petals. You can kind of squiggle around, and I like to have the ends of them kind of loose and uneven, to make it look very wispy. So I'm going to put in like 3 of the purple flowers, and I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way so you can see what I'm doing, how quick and easy these are. I've done these in other videos, so I know if you've seen any of my videos, and you're pretty familiar with them, just how loose and easy they are to paint. And I do like to always make sure that I have 5 petals. I like to keep a odd number, which I think I've mentioned that before also. Okay. So I have the purple ones. I'm going to let those dry just a little bit, and then we'll be adding another layer of the purple, a little heavier accents on the petals themselves. But I want it to dry a little bit because I don't really want the shades blending. And then in between, I'm going to do some of my orange flowers. And as I mentioned, something like this makes for such a great Christmas gift. It's very unique and one of a kind, And it's special. You know, the people that are receiving your gifts just absolutely cherish them. Okay, and you can see how quick and fast this is, and I'm kind of even blending into the other flowers, and that's totally fine. So we'll let both of those colors dry for a little bit, and while they're drying, I'm going to kind of put in just some real loose type of leaves here. And for the leaves, as I mentioned, I'm using a little bit of the hooker's green, which is darker, along with the sap green. And there again, just kind of squiggling in some real loose leaves. Everything here is just real loosely done, which makes it more fun. They were probably really loose after having a couple of these painkillers. I know that they're a real fruity drink with the cream of coconut. And I think that's what was so refreshing about them. And then just you can put in little stems, real light stems going along. And then we're going to be putting in some baubles also, some little baubles with the metallic paints, which will add a little bit to it as well. Okay, so that's pretty good for up there. And then I'm just going to put a couple little flowers down at the bottom. And you could really do anything like little palm trees, maybe a flamingo. There's some real basic flamingos that you could paint that are adorable if you were doing something tropical like this. Now I can show you. I'll do a little flamingo at the end of this on a different piece of paper just to give you an idea. Okay, so you can see how loose these are. And so I'm going to do that one, and then I'll put in an orange flower. And I'm just kind of leaving the flowers over to the side. I'm not going to put them all the way across or directly in the middle, just off to the side a little bit. Okay. And then we'll put couple little leaves down in this area. And I kind of mix my sap green in with my hooker's green, just to give it a nice bright green color. We want everything on this particular painting to be nice and bright because it is, you know, with a whole tropical theme. And so let's put a leaf there and out there. I think I'll even put in just a couple little green wisps. Okay. All right, so these look pretty dry up here. So I'm going to go back with a little bit more, a little bit heavier of the purple lake, and just kind of dab in a little bit towards the center of each of the petals, and just with the tip of my brush to keep it light, not heavy strokes. Okay, see how nice, how that kind of makes them really pop. And then we'll come over and just very lightly and then on the orange, we'll get a good amount of paint on the brush for the orange and do the same. So really, I'm not even using different colors. I'm using the same color for the accents as I did for the petals themselves. Just a heavier amount on my brush, and just a couple little flickers of the paintbrush. Okay, so those are done, and it looks like this might be dry enough down here that I can do it as well. And you can see how it just kind of adds a little bit of dimension And that's one of the important things with watercolor, is a lot of times you want to paint in layers so that you have the different effects. Now I can tell this one petal is still kind of wet, so it'll blend a little bit rather than just be, of course it's darker all around too. Okay, very good. Now I am going to grab a little bit of the Prussian blue, and I don't want my brush to be real wet. Sometimes it's nice when you're doing the centers and to do it, you know, when the petals are wet so that it kind of blends in or bleeds into the petals. But with this, I kind of wanted it not to do that. I wanted a good contrast between the two. And you can see just real lightly, I'm dotting into the center. I'm using the same color on all of the flowers. You can see how that really makes them pop using that blue. Now this one, it could blend in a little bit just because there, see, that's going to blend a little bit, and that's cool. That'll look cute. Okay, so now that I have that done, I'm going to set those paints aside, and then to put in some baubles, I'm going to be using the rose gold and the bronze. And I want to get these just a little bit wet. And so for these, I'm just going to paint in some round circles or baubles. And as I go down the page or down the piece of paper, I want them to be just a little bit smaller, not all the same size. So I'm going to kind of turn this just so I don't smudge or smear anything that might still be a little bit wet. You can do as many or as little as you want. So now that I've done the bronze, I want to go back and do the rose gold. And I don't think it really shows quite as much on the video, but it's nice to have the contrast of the two different colors of metallic paint. So this is really just enough to keep it entertaining, but yet not overdone with all of the color, because we do want the recipe to be the main focal point here. I'm just going to put a couple little dots in throughout here. Let's make that one. And like I said, you could do this with a recipe for some type of maybe a pie or even a martini. You know, there's all kinds of options that you could really do. But it's just fun when the person that's receiving this gets it. For my sister and sister-in-law, this is going to be very special because it's going to remind them of their trip that they had down to the Caribbean. So this is pretty much done, and I'm going to let it dry a little bit more, but you know, I can put in a frame and wrap it up or put it in a little gift bag, and they'll be all set for one of their little Christmas gifts and a great reminder of their trip to the Caribbean. So that really is everything for that. And I did want to show you just real quick how to, if you wanted to, you know, do something like this and paint a little flamingo. They are relatively easy to paint, and this might not be quite the right color of pink, but we're going to work with it. And you want just very little color on your brush, and this is going to be kind of a purplish pink flamingo, and that's going to be just fine. But do it as a teardrop, you know, and come down like that. And then from here, just go up and around. And then what you'll want to do, here actually we can make this a little longer. And this is just kind of a real basic flamingo. It's not heavily detailed. And then on the beak, you can just kind of go like this. And then with paint or with a marker, either one, you can put in legs. So that's really just a basic little flamingo that would be adorable on, here, let me bring this back out. So if you were to put something like that down here along with a little palm tree, you know, if you had some type of a tropical recipe, that would be really cute. Or just do some kind of, like what I did with just light colors and, you know, something tropical looking. So that is it for this little gift for today. And I will be back with more Christmas ideas week after week. We're getting close. And so I will have some more fun ideas and projects for us to work on together. And until then, ciao for now.